So welcome everybody to the Daily Intimacy. It is Tuesday, January 19th. I invite everybody to have a deep, deep breath this morning, in through the nose and out through the mouth. And take a moment to settle in where you are. You can sit with your spine straighter than usual, crown of head up towards the sky. And just take a couple of deep breaths, breathing in through the nose and out through the mouth. And for those of you working on shifting your energy this morning, that exhale could really support you. Exhale and let go. As you inhale, I invite you to bring your attention to the earth, breathing in her beautiful and nourishing energy up through the base of your body and the central channel of your body, up, reaching up towards the crown. And then exhale. And on the next breath, becoming aware of the light above and bringing light in through the crown and down the central channel again of your body, right down the central channel, the spine, all the way down to the base. And again, breathing up from the earth and allowing that to mix with the light that's coming down from the crown into your body. Let it bathe every cell, bringing in love, bringing in light with intention. Noticing any feelings or thoughts that come up, just to ask them to gently rest to the side so you can stay present with yourself, so that you feel more and more connected with yourself and more grounded inside yourself. And there's a little practice I'm going to add this morning. I taught this last year, but it's been a while since I've shared it. It's been a while since I reminded myself of the practice. It comes from one of my colleagues and coaches, David Waldis, who was at the part of the Daily Intimacy, but it's been a while. So just staying with yourself and your eyes closed, I invite you to bring your palms face up and just feel from the center of your palms, kind of like a radar to everything you're tuned into right now that's outside yourself. We do this whether we're empaths or sensitive or just, I think, human. We have our radars out there. We're attuned at a certain vibration that has to do with many, many different things. But just notice right now who you're attuned to. Maybe it's a child or a partner or an ex-partner or someone you used to work with, or your neighbors. There's like energy attuned outside of ourselves. And what we want to do is be referencing and resourcing and being with ourselves internally as much as possible, especially now, but always. But, it's some pretty interesting times, and, we'll see how tomorrow goes. So we just want to be able to self-connect, self-reference, and of course, self-love and resource from internally rather than externally, because obviously internally is where the peace is. So I'm going to invite you to close your hands and bring your hands to your lap. So your hands were open as the radars. Now you're closing them up and you're bringing your attention inside. Allow your hands to rest on your lap. This is actually the pause. This is like the transition from external to internal. So you might automatically just notice how you feel. Most people say they feel more quiet. And then the last piece is to bring open your hands. Now you're looking inside. You're changing the radar from outside to inside. One hand on the heart, one hand on the solar plexus. So just below the rib cage. And now you're inside. Now you're able to really connect in the quiet of what's inside you. And this is where all your answers are. There's no guru. The guru is within. There's no teacher. The teacher is within. So just see if this morning perhaps there's a message for you, something, maybe even some words to describe your experience. Just feel that for another moment. This is a practice you can do when you want to tune in and have something answered. It's a practice to do right before meditation or right before sleep. And it's great in the morning because it sets your day out to affirm your sovereignty, affirm your wisdom, affirm your peace that's inside. So a nice deep breath now. And exhale. And you can release your hands or you can keep them there. I invite you to open your eyes. Maybe a few micro movements to come back. And welcome. Love to hear in the chat how that was for you. Any words that came to mind when you were either in the pause, which is hands on the lap, or in the open to yourself space, which is hands open and on your body, or anything about that practice that you want to share. Some of you might remember it from last year when I shared it. I'm grateful to be reminded. For me, it's very powerful. And I'll just say one thing. Some of us are aware that we're like automatically going out for information, and some of us are not aware that we do that. And either way, the practice works. It doesn't matter. You're still going to have that experience of being more internal and quieter and deeply connected to yourself, even if you don't really notice the energy of it. Thank you for the comments. Yeah, it's really nice to hear. Yeah, it's nice to hear how you experience that. Thank you. So yeah, a simple thing you can remember, to practice. Janice made me think of all the people I know who are really feeling anxious or depressed and isolated these days, and how we all need to help each other. Yeah, so true. Yeah, thank you. So today we have Lisa Rosenthal. Lisa is what I would call a priestess path. What's the word I'm looking for? Sister. A priestess path sister. I think I've talked about priestess path before, again, because I've had some other priestess path sisters here, and this is a women's empowerment. The way I describe it, it's like a women's empowerment sort of spiritual growth program that I went through a couple of years of back in the late 90s, early 2000s. And Lisa did also participated with Leora, who's here. You guys probably remember Leora. They did that together a few years later. And yeah, that was like a completely life-changing experience for me on every level. Elisa Starkweather, who runs the program, used to say that we would be able to recognize each other in a crowd, people who have been through the priestess path, like later on in years to come, like even if they weren't in my cohort of 24 women, that I would recognize other people elsewhere. And it's true. I've had people come up to me out of nowhere like, did you do priestess path? Like, yes. So anyway, that's a beautiful thing. And Lisa had so many gifts. Actually, you offered many different things for us today, but and I actually had a hard time choosing. But the color therapy piece is so interesting, and we haven't done it before, and it is something that I'm familiar with, that I've used a little bit, but only a little bit. And so I'm really curious. And the other thing about the daily intimacy is that it's provided us with tools to practice and use during this, especially, you know, however you want to describe this time. And so it's really nice to have yet another tool in our toolbox. So thank you for being here, Lisa.
Thank you so much, Robyn, for inviting me to speak today. I'm really excited. Color is one of my favorite things to talk about, so I'm ready to start. So
Right.
I'm going to be showing a PowerPoint. I'll just bring it right up right now.
If anybody's familiar with color therapy or has anything they want to share about it in the chat, it'd be interesting to hear. Can you share your screen, Lisa?
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. Okay.
Oh, she did it. Ooh.
Okay. So here is the power of color. And what I'd like to do, my name again is Lisa Diamond Rosenthal, and we're going to talk about color. So before we start, I just want you to close your eyes for a moment and think about a color that you need in your body right now. And just if you can think about, if you can't find a color that you need, then think about a color that makes you really happy. And I just want you to surround yourself with the color, put the color inside of you, and just feel what the color does for you. And this is just getting you interested or starting to realize that color really does have a way of changing how you function in the world. So let me go. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about my background. So actually, let me go back one. Okay, so I am a life and health coach. I do family constellation. I'm a family constellation facilitator. I do the work of Dr. Klinghardt, and what he does is something called applied psycho-neurobiology. And in psycho-neurobiology, we look at a client's conscious, unconscious, and subconscious thoughts and beliefs, and often traumas, and we bring them to the surface so that people can start to identify it. And then I use various tools like color or sound or movement to help people move the belief or the trauma to the surface and then release it. It's a very quick process. And I use something called autonomic response testing, which is a sophisticated form of applied kinesiology to basically talk with the body. Now, in ART, people come to me and they have different illnesses or different problems or unknown illnesses, and I test the person using all types of test tubes, and I put things in their field. So somebody might come to me and I'll test them for allergies, and I'll put different foods in test tubes near them, or they might have a foggy brain. And so then I start to understand what is causing all these problems. And I'm very curious, ask a lot of questions and do a lot of testing so that I could understand what's going on with the person. And so that's some of the things that I do. I'm not a medical doctor, but I use some medical techniques in my process. I've studied Chinese medicine, and I work with clients of all different types. Anxiety, Lyme is a lot of people come in with Lyme. Family issues, depression, relationship issues, a lot of mold exposure, trauma of all kinds, or really they don't know what is causing their issue.
Lisa, I just want to say, I didn't know you had worked with Dr. Klinghardt, and that's amazing, actually. I'm guessing only some people have heard of him because he's been so out there, obscure, but his work is so powerful.
Well, there's very few. He's very active right now.
Yes.
He's very, very active because he is the foremost person about COVID right now.
Right.
There's
people don't know about him, so I'm just like pointing that out, and also now people know about him, so they should look him up.
Dr. Klinghardt is he's German. He practices in Germany, he practices in London, and he practices in Seattle. And he's been offering classes in his methodology for the last 15 years. So there's not that many people that are certified as a Klinghardt practitioner, and there's really very few people that do his ART practice. So I'm I'm sorry, his APN practice. That's the psychological piece. That's my favorite piece. So I do a lot of that in every session with people. And when you're doing APN, which is all psychological, and you're basically speaking to the person, I'm using the ART is sort of like a lie detector. And so I'm talking to the subconscious or the unconscious and trying to figure out where problems started. And that's often you inherited that. And so I throw in a lot of family constellation into that right then and there. So most people do family constellation in a large group, which I do it, but I tend to often do family constellation in the session right then and there. And that's something that Dr. Klinghardt also spent a lot of time teaching that. Okay.
Awesome.
Let me go
So
to
good to hear.
So the meditation before I wanted to show you that color therapy is actually started centuries ago, but 500 years ago, Leonardo da Vinci said that if you meditated with violet rays through stained glass, you get a tenfold effect of your meditation. So perhaps all of us should get like a purple screen and start meditating behind a purple screen. Okay. So to kind of understand how I got into this, I was really sick a very long time ago, and I was bedridden with very severe Epstein Barr and fibromyalgia and a few other things. And I had 3 little children under the age of 7, and I had barely the strength to get out of bed. And I was really working on what I could do because I had these 3 children and I needed to figure it out. And I kept hearing in my mind, start to paint, start to paint. And I was like, this doesn't make any sense. So after hearing it for quite a while, I signed up for an art class, and I grabbed out some old art paint, oil paints my grandfather had given me when I was a little girl. And I marched in with my oil paints, and I could barely stand. He wanted everybody to stand. So I could stand for maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes. And I just kept going back for that art class. And before long, maybe a few weeks, I was then standing for 3 and 4 hours to paint. So I was fascinated that I had that ability. And as I was painting, I realized that I started to feel better, and my mood started to feel better, and I had a lot more energy. And then I started dressing in brighter colors, and I was noticing the colors I was painting with. What you see on the screen is one of my first or second paintings that I did. And I started to see that different colors reacted differently in me. Eventually, I got much better, and I bought my own art school and had several classes all week. And I started to watch how other people reacted when they were painting. And during class or after class, people would come up to me and they would start talking about their feelings and about traumas that they were working through. And people would stop by after class to talk to me. And I thought, okay, there's something going on here. So I started taking all kinds of life and health classes because I wanted to understand what was going on. And then I took some Chinese herbal classes and started getting into a degree in that. And then I started working with Dr. Klinghardt because I thought there's something more here that I just don't really understand. And then I added in, then I started thinking, okay, let me just go to the experts and learn about color. So I found different people that specialize in color therapy and syntonics, and then lecturers and people who wrote books. And so I started to get really interested in learning more. So here, I'm going to get back to the color in a second. Dr. Klinghardt has a pyramid of health. So I've adapted it a little, but these are his pyramid: the physical, energy, mental, intuitive, and spiritual body. And basically, our physical body is what we're living in, but we live in all the other bodies as well. And he feels that when we do treatments and we go at a higher level, like we go to the doctor and we get something taken care of, like we have some kind of an illness and they give us a supplement or a pill, that helps us for a while and hopefully we're better. But what if it's an ongoing issue? So his thought is, if you go to a higher level and start healing at a higher level, there's a downward causation where everything else self-corrects. also he feels, and it's been proven that most illnesses have an emotional or a psychological reason for why you have that illness. And that's why we have different illnesses in our body, because it's pointing to different things that we need to work on. So if we can go and find what the cause is and pull it out from the weed right at the beginning, then we can start to heal the entire body. So I just put up some treatments that I do, or some other treatments that you can do for the physical body. If you wanted to heal yourself, you could take food and herbs, your nutrition. You can look into your home environment and make sure it's very healthy and safe. You could do allergy testing. You can use essential oils. You can do all kinds of detox, like with saunas and foot baths. On an energy body, you can use color therapy. You can do tapping. You can do Chinese medicine in the meridians. Let me keep going. On the mental body, that's more like talk therapy. You can do APN, which I was talking about, all kinds of belief work. You can do tapping again, color therapy, healing dialogues, coaching, life coaching, health coaching. Also, you have things like acupuncture and homeopathy fit into the mental and energetic. In the intuitive body, it's where you start working in the systemic family, that's family constellation. You can do sound and voice healing. You can do all kinds of rituals. That's like priestess path that we were talking about just before. And then the last one is your spiritual body, and that's where you connect to your higher source. And that's your own private experience. Nobody should be working on that for you. That's your own private personal experience. You can do conversations with your ancestors, ritual, prayer, anything like this. So the father of color therapy was named Dinshaw Gadiali, and he was born in India in 1873. And what he figured out that specific colors have frequencies, and if you can identify the frequency, you can match that with the psychological or emotional issue and then heal the person. So color therapy, so he actually matches the frequency with the color, and the illness. You can look it up in a book and figure out exactly what color treatments to use. So here is a diagram of electromagnetic spectrum. And you can see in the center is the primary colors. And like the purples and the blues have a slower frequency than the yellow, oranges, and reds. And then in between with each color, you see that there's different frequencies. And so there's different shades of colors, and that also helps in healing. So here is a chart where we have our colors on the left-hand side, and they correspond to the different chakras. And then if you go to the disease column, you can see just briefly, I'm showing different diseases that when there's problems in the frequency that correlates to those colors of the chakra, you can have problems in different diseases coming up. So you're probably asking me, what is a light field exactly, and how do we measure our light? So light in our body, we are made out of energy. We are made of something called biophotons. And when I do my testing, which is called ART, I actually am testing the light in a person and how it's coming through. Is it coming through straight? Is it blocked? Is there problems with the light? So I'm looking at the person's energy field, and I'm seeing if there's any interference patterns in that light and how it's coming out. Another way to measure it is called syntonics. And syntonics is, I'm going to go into, syntonics is a form of measuring people's eyesight, what they see in color. And I'm going to just show you what it looks like. So this is a machine where you do syntonics, and a person looks through that. And I do syntonics. You measure the person's visual field. And this is what optometrists and ophthalmologists do when they want to understand the visual field. It's not part of a normal optometry exam. It's actually part of color therapy. And this is used for other kinds of treatments. So we use that machine. And in the picture that is drawn, you can see physical, mental, and emotional issues attributed to the different colors. So I want to show you, this is a picture of an actual visual field. And so you're going to notice that the right eye and the left eye are reversed. And that's because it's from the practitioner's perspective. And I'm looking at the person. And you also see there's a little white circle in the circle in the whole larger picture. And that is a blind spot. Everybody has a blind spot on both the right and the left side of their eyes. So the different colors represent different things. Now, the goal is to have the largest field possible, not a tiny field, because a larger field, you see more, you're more outgoing, you're more apt to go and do things in the world. When you have a smaller field, you have more illness, you're more nervous, you're more fearful. To give you an example of what this would be like is if you were, sometimes in New York City, you see horses and they pull carriages and they always have blinders on the horse's side. And that's reducing their visual field so that they're not distracted by everything going on, because they want to take in the whole world, but you don't want them to. You want them to obey and go straight. So we close the field. So my goal is for your field to be enlarged. So you're asking me, what can these different colors show? So the green field is the smallest field, and that one shows your personal relationships and your immune system and your lifestyle. Also shows some toxicity levels. And your red field shows your physical body, your major organs and circulation. And then your blue field, which is the largest, would show how you communicate your emotions and your psychological stresses. The white field explains how you see yourself and how you see yourself in the world. So I'm going to compare this to two different fields, just so now you understand a little. The goal is to be a bigger field. So the first one was in 2018. That was my client was working on different issues. And then she went away to college and she started getting much better. And that's why her field was getting much larger. She had been using light and some supplements, and she was starting to take control of her life differently. But then she went to college and she started getting sick. And so you can see there's some breaks in the red and some areas. She probably was drinking too much and doing a few other things in college, but you could see that she started to have a breaking line. So we then gave her some more color to help work at that. Now, here's an example of somebody on the left who had a very large field, and then she got an incredibly stressful job, and you can see a lot of breaking. She got a crazy job. She then got very sick with Epstein Barr and Lyme and mold exposure. You could see all this in the eye chart, and it corresponds to every line, tells you exactly what's going on with the person. So in traditional medicine, we look at the effects of the disease and we treat that. But what I look at is the person comes in and they don't feel well. So I start to look at all the different levels, their emotional, their mental, their bioenergetic, and their spiritual precursors to disease. What is actually going on before the illness gets to the next place? Or even if it's at a more advanced stage, what is causing that? And I can possibly suggest ways of healing. So a very well-known optometrist, who was also the former president of the International Light Association, said that colors can access old unresolved emotional traumas. And when you put different colors on the person, it brings to the conscious level whatever the emotion is that's basically unconscious. And you can then pull it out using color in a very gentle way. There are some therapists that use a light machine with their clients when they're sitting in practice. And I've often done that with people that they can't budge and they're stuck. So I'll use different colors to help them start to talk and heal. So what we do is when we heal the energy balances of the emotions, because it's a higher level on the pyramid, there's a downward causation, and you start to see subtle changes in their personality, in their stress level. It could also show physical anatomy. Maybe their levels of toxins go down, or they start feeling different in different parts of their body. So here are some of the illnesses that color therapy can address. Chronic fatigue, heavy metal toxicity, infertility, depression, insomnia, lots of skin condition, lots of eye conditions, weight issues. I want to read something. In April of 1927, Dr. Kate Baldwin, who is an MD and a former surgeon, wrote in a journal article for the Atlantic Medical Journal that after 37 years of active hospital and private practice, she could produce quicker and more accurate results with colors than with any other methods combined, and with less strain on the patient. She often successfully treating conditions that where all other methods failed. And she said that if she gave someone surgery, they healed quicker and better when they used color before and after the surgery. So color is a really easy thing that anybody can do, and it's painless and it's fun. So we should all think about how we can add it into our day, or into our life. So there's different ways of taking in color. You can wear colored glasses. I would test myself, or you can learn to test yourself and figure out what color glasses you might want to use, or what you're feeling for the day. You might want to wear colored clothing. So color can come into your body different ways. You can take it through your body on the outside, or you can take it through your eyes, or you could ingest it. So you can use colored lasers on your body. You could use a color light machine, and I'm going to show you some different light machines. You could use hydrochromatic therapy. And what hydrochromatic therapy is taking distilled water, putting it in a glass jar. Now the glass can be a color, or you can have a clear jar and you could put like a plastic color around the outside, and you put it outside in the sun for some while, and then you take it in and you drink that water. So the water is now impressed with the frequency of the color. And so that was actually something that was used in Greece and India, and it's been around for a really long time. Egypt, Greece, China, and India used that for years. And then color breathing. So let me go to the next slide. So this is an example of Dinshaw. He was the father of color. This is how he suggested we use color therapy. So you put different gels in this little machine, and then you put it about 6 feet away from yourself, and you basically bathe yourself in color. This is the Lieberman, the quote I had just read also. He feels that it's best to look down the tube, and so the light actually goes into your eyes. It goes into the pineal gland and the pituitary, and then starts to change different things within your body. Here's another example of a light machine. And so now what I would like to do is a little breathing exercise with you. So,
Lisa?
yeah.
Lisa, I know you and I had talked before about how to test yourself.
Okay, yeah.
And Mitchell also put a question in the chat about that. So whenever that fits.
Sure, I should actually talk about that right this second. It's actually a good time. So testing yourself for color. So if you know how to test yourself, I do stuff with my hands, and other people do use pendulums. Some people do an exercise where you stand up and you say to yourself, show me yes and show me no. So you say, show me yes. And if your body falls forward, that is your yes. And if you fall backwards, that is your no. And that's a very popular way that people begin to start using a testing mechanism. So you can say, is my name Lisa? And if it falls forward, then yes. And if not, it would go backwards. And then you can start to say, would dark blue be good for me today? And that's how you could start to test your colors. So that's a really easy way. Or you can use a pendulum over, you could buy a whole set of color glasses, for instance, and you can use the pendulum once you're comfortable with the pendulum, and then say, which color would be best for me today? And how long should I wear it for? So that's an easy way for you to do color therapy at home. Another thing is, so many people have different, maybe you just want it because you want to feel better, but maybe you actually have an ailment and you're not exactly sure what colors you need. So you can look up in different books. There is one book that I'm going to just hold up and maybe we'll just put it in. This is the book written by Dinshaw. This is a very, it was probably written in the early 1900s. No, maybe, I don't even know. Let There Be Light. And what it has inside is formulas for every illness. So you look up your illness and it tells you the exact colors that you need and how long you want to sit in front of that color. So that's another way to go when you really want to get into color therapy. You would probably go to that book because that's the beginning book. Did that answer enough of your question? You think?
I think so. Yeah, we'll have some time for questions, I assume.
I'll add some more afterward. So anyway, I'd like to try a color exercise with you. So what I would like you to do is just scan the list right now and see if a specific color jumps out to you, or if there's an issue that I have put down next to that color that you might like to work on. So just give you a moment to think about it. Now, you don't have to work with one color. You can work with all the colors or two colors, but just in your mind, think about which colors you're going to want to work with. So now put that aside, and I want everybody to sit down because we're going to do just like a little breathing exercise. And I'd like you to sit erect. I'd like you to put your tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth right behind your teeth. And then I would like everyone to start slowly breathing in the nostrils for a count of 5. And then we're going to count for 10. We're going to hold for 10, and then we're going to release for 5. And we're going to do that slowly. So let's do that together. Breathing in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now please continue on your own. And as you're breathing in, I want you to take a deep inhale, and at the same time, take the color that you had selected and bring it into your body. I want you to visualize this color coming into all areas of your illness or your blockage or your dysfunction or any areas that need vitalization. So just let that color go all through your body as you breathe in, hold, and then exhale. And do that for a few moments, maybe 3 rounds. So feel that color going in all the different pockets of your body and healing. Visualize that area, getting that color, bathing in the color actually. And how the blockages are being removed. And you're gaining energy in those areas. Now, if you want, you can add an affirmation to it, or if you know tapping, you can do some tapping with it. Or if you have something that you'd like to release, you can be saying that releasing thing as you're tapping or as you're thinking of the color. Okay, so start closing. So the reason why I added in the affirmation or the tapping or even different colors and activities is when we have issues in our body, it's like a lock and key. And so we use multiple different techniques to try to release whatever the issue is. And so my job is I go in and actually test a bunch of different things to see what will help somebody to release whatever the issues are. So that's why I'm showing you exactly how you can do that. Tapping is an amazing way of releasing it because it basically resets your meridian system and calms you down and says, okay, I'm bringing in this color and it's safe and you can start to relax. So I'd like to just say that if you want to find the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Nikola Tesla. And thank you for listening to my presentation. So now I can answer some questions.
Yeah, I bet people have some questions. Why don't you unshare? Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
Perfect. That was awesome, Lisa. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I hope you guys learned something.
I did. So who has a question for Lisa about color, about you do such amazing work, actually. I don't know if anybody has any questions about anything.
Sure, ask
or
me.
anything to share about their experience. So just put me in the chat and then I'll invite you to unmute. Great, Emily. Let's hear from Emily.
Sure.
Like I'm always up for fun. I'm also a painter. I'm so glad that painting helped you.
Oh yeah, painting was amazing. Art is a fabulous thing for you.
Yeah, I've just been called to like do that again more, and I've been trying to figure out what to do, and maybe this is part of it. Something that helped me while we were doing this exercise was I started tapping, and I was experimenting with color the other night. And when I close my eyes, sometimes I see orange because I'm like, oh, it's coming through my lids, you know, but then it would change to like blue and orange and stuff. And while we were doing this, it changed to violet, which is what I was calling in. So
That's
that was
great.
really cool. Thank you.
You're very tuned into your colors. That's really amazing. And you could be taking all the gifts of those colors.
And now I have the key. Thank you.
Now you have the key. Yes. Many keys.
Yeah.
It's not a one key process. It's actually
Right.
by many different things. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Leora has a question here. Do you test people on Zoom or do you have to be in the room? Actually, I do both. I do work with people on Zoom and I do it in person. I cannot do the visual field that I described on Zoom, but I can test people for colors and I learn a lot about people that way. Yeah.
I also wanted to say that Lisa is an amazing sculptor.
Oh, thank
like
you.
really gifted sculptor.
Wow.
Thank you.
Goodness, so much talent in one small human. Amazing. Marcy's got a story to tell us and we do have time. And yeah, as you're thinking of your questions, just put me in the chat and we'll unmute you.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh no, did you want me to share now or you want to wait?
Or you could share and then I'll go back and answer the question. Sure.
Okay, I was just going to share a story. I was doing my master level work in past life regression and on Long Island. And I had been selected the day before to essentially be the person who was going to be regressed. And I noticed that I was a little bit kind of anxious, right, that night. And the next morning, I go to my closet to get dressed and I reached for a black top. I don't wear black. I mean, I'm typically a very colorful person. And I put it on and I went into the bathroom And I said, wait a second, I can't be wearing black if I'm going into that regression. I went back and I picked a green top, right? So I put the top on and I head out to my class. Now, I have been to this center a zillion times. Do you know that I got lost 1 mile from the center? And I had to pull my car over to the side, and I had to have a whole talk with myself. I know you're anxious. I know there's something going on. You can feel something's going to come forward. I get back in the car. I go directly there. Well, in the session, what came up was a past life with my mother that was like ancient, but had so many correlations with our relationship in this time. And that day we looked around the room and there were people almost like matching in couples with the colors that they were wearing surrounding me. It was an amazing realization.
That's great. That's
Yeah.
great. So black actually is an interesting, thank you for bringing up black. Black is a color where I don't have people wear black when they come to see me because black blocks their energy. It blocks the photons coming in and out of their body. And so it's very hard to test people when they're wearing black. So that's an interesting thing. Also, it was like your body and your ego or your psychological was not ready to release that information because it was pretty intense and you overcame it. That was pretty amazing.
Yeah, it was great.
That is great. Yeah. With all those, with getting lost and everything, you did it. Congratulations.
This has been wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You're welcome. Let me see, there was a question. The body sway pauses. What is the indicator for the pendulum?
I think, yeah, Matthew was asking about the pendulum earlier, which is really a whole other topic.
Yeah, that's 2 questions in one because the body sway test is one and the pendulum is another. So I would definitely suggest you look into that on the internet. Look up, those 2 things.
I would suggest using the body test until you learn how to.
The body test is great.
Yeah, the body test is so easy.
It's really good if you're, let's say you're in a store and you don't know, is this vitamin good or is this vitamin good? So you put one and say, is this one a good one for me? Would it benefit me? And you can move forward and back. That's the beginning of how you can learn how to do it.
Yeah, that's the easy way. Leora was asking, is it hard to self-test if you're wearing black?
You love black, but you also love purple.
Right. Yeah. That's
no, I don't find it hard to self-test wearing black. It's just when I'm trying to connect with that person, they're blocking the energy from me. I go into the person's energy field and I start reading their field. So for you, it wouldn't be, to test yourself. Is there another question?
You've had such an incredible story, Lisa. You sounded like you were really not well for a while. And from what I could tell, have really healed yourself completely.
I have really worked a lot. And most of my clients come in, they're in wheelchairs, they're bedridden. And I have one bedridden and she could barely speak for 20 minutes. Now she can't get off the phone after 2 hours. And she came down to meet me and she lives 6 hours away. So people start healing when they start working on all the different levels. Sometimes I get referred to from doctors who know Dr. Klinghardt. They see their doctor and then they come to me because a lot of the work that I do works with the doctor and it moves that practice much faster.
Absolutely.
And I even have a young man that was in a wheelchair and now he's out and about. So it's exciting, when you start, and he used a lot of color.
It's awesome, Lisa.
Awesome.
It's more than exciting.
It's really fun. I love what I do. And you can kind of tell when you're with me that I love it.
How long have you been doing it? How many years?
Been different things. I've been doing about 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
How old are your kids now then?
Oh, my kid. I'm looking at one right now.
Yeah.
They're in their 20s. They're in their 27, 24, and 22. Yeah.
Just to get a sense of, like you said, they were really young when you were.
Yeah, they were really young and, they put up with me when I was doing that.
Right. Wow. Yes, I'll be sharing Lisa's contact information. Some people were asking. Absolutely. And I also took a couple of photographs. I took 2 photographs of 2 of the slides.
Sure,
So I'll send those out for people to kind of have that information.
sure.
Richard says, I use flower gardening as color therapy. Yeah.
Perfect. That is one of the best things to do because you're in the earth. So you're getting all the negative ions from the earth. You're healing that way. You're talking and communicating with the plants and you get in the color. Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's so many ways of using color and there's so many different techniques to help heal yourself. Open yourself up to all different new techniques.
Leora's got another question, and yes to what you just said. Go ahead, Leora.
So every year I have a visual field test because of family history of glaucoma. Is there any way to transform those results to the color thing?
No, it's a very different test, actually. Yeah, they're looking at the structure of the eye. I'm just looking at the visual field and what you see, how you see color in the field. Is it small or big? So I'm actually testing each point of your eye to see where the color comes in. Like, the orange, you can see red here, but you can't see it here.
Oh yeah, the one I do, it's for the peripheral, like it shows all these dots, but there's no color. It's just, yeah.
No. That's just to see where in your peripheral you can see. It's all structural. Mine's not structural at all.
But I guess the question is, what color would you use, Leora, to heal any predisposition to glaucoma? Right? That'd be my question.
Yeah. So we would test you for that and see which ones work for you. Yeah. I kept thinking of how colorful nature.
So Lisa, you're in New Jersey.
I'm in New Jersey, yeah.
And you work with people from all over. There are some things you can't do on Zoom, but it sounds like most of what you do.
A lot of it I could do on
A lot
Zoom.
of it you can do.
Yeah, it's really
Telehealth.
translated. Yeah.
Nice.
A lot of family constellation, genograms can be done online. A lot of testing of supplements and figuring out what's going on. I just put boxes of supplements everywhere and test people for them and figure out what's going on.
Mm-hmm. Nice. But the diagnostic pieces too, you can do on
Yeah, a
tele?
lot of the diagnostic pieces. Yeah.
Yeah.
I could get into a lot of the unconscious on the telephone. It's pretty amazing. And then using different healing sentences. All the ART actually shows me exactly what is going on in the person. It's very, very detailed and specific. So you might say I'm depressed, but actually what caused that depression exactly? What was the story? What was the trauma? What was the age? And is it really depression or is it, I just don't think this? So it's the nuances come up like that.
Yeah. Wow.
Zoom.
Can you put your website in the chat? I'm going to send it out, but I'm guessing like everybody, including me, wants to get on it right away. And Denise says, I kept thinking of how colorful nature is in a beautiful sunset forest. Those experiences are always so poetic and clarifying. Yeah, and healing. Exactly. So that's your email. Do you have a website? Oh, guess it's ldrhealing.com. Is that right?
Yeah.
drhealing.com. Nice. Got it. Lisa Diamond Rosenthal, healing.com. Nice.
Thank you so much. This was fun.
Lisa, thank you so much. Wow, this was amazing. Really.
There's questions, just, you can write me and I'll give you some information if you're interested in doing light yourself, how to get started. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you, Leora, for connecting
Thank
us.
you, Laura.
Grateful. And I'm grateful for your time, Lisa. Thank you for taking some time today to share so much incredible information with us. Amazing. Oh, wow. This is fun. So next week we have Kelly Sparta, who some of you know, maybe some of you know. She's she sort of call herself like a modern day shaman, but she's going to bring some other healing tools to us next week. That'll be really nice, really fun. And more important and healing work we all can learn about and bring into the world, and so many good things. You're welcome. Thanks for your love in the chat. Thank you everybody for being here. Come back next week, same link all the time. You don't have to register yourself again, just save that link and come. And if I'm lucky, I will get that weekly email set up so it goes out again. I'll work on that this week, but hopefully you guys didn't find it too challenging to find the link. Anyway, so. All right. Blessings, everybody. Have a wonderful day. Lots of love. Mwah. Thanks for being here. You can unmute and say goodbye if you'd like. And I'll see you next week.
Bye. Thank you.
Everyone.
Thank you so